3 guests tonight. And we will start with Cheryl Swope. I got that right? Okay, she's the author of a new book called Simply Classics. And we will let her start, and then we have Anita Wyman with us, and we have from Holcomb, we have Andy and Michelle and Linda. So we will start with Michelle, Cheryl, and you can take over.
All right. My name is Cheryl Swope, and I have authored a book called Simply Classical, A Beautiful Education for Any Child. It is about special needs children. As many as 1 in 5 children today are diagnosed with something, some sort of special learning need. So this book covers things like autism, learning disabilities, mental illness, cerebral palsy, language disorders, all of those sorts of things, but in a Christian context. We want to bring truth, goodness, and beauty to every one of these children. So this is accomplished through the liberal arts and sciences, which include literature, poetry, the greatest art, music, history, ideas, mathematics, science of Western civilization. We call that a classical education. So this is simply classical because we bring it to special needs children. So simply classical, a beautiful education for any child. And Iris has taught both of my children in her home. She runs art camps for children. So I have a gift for you, and it is a signed copy of the book.
Thank you very much.
I also have for Mary a magazine. And
Thank you.
There's an excerpt of the book. It's the preface in that magazine, so you can take that.
Thank you. I
Now,
appreciate
you
that.
have a degree in master's degree in special
I do. I have a
education?
master's degree in special education. I have an undergraduate degree in special education, but the primary source for my inspiration for the book was my own 2 children. We adopted them when they were babies. They had developmental delays at the time. That's all we knew. They are 18 now.
And they are so smart. They are.
But as the years unfolded, so did their diagnoses. They are both on the autism spectrum. They both have learning disabilities that are significant. And their biological mother had schizophrenia. They both developed that too. So the challenges have been tremendous, not just for us, but for them, coping with all of that. But we still wanted to bring an excellent education to them in spite of their limitations. So we were living in St. Louis when they were babies, and we wanted them to go to a classical school there, but they said no because of their disabilities. So we decided we would try to homeschool them. And even though I have a master's in special ed, I was very uncertain whether we could actually do this. But God provided.
He always does.
And we just took it a year at a time, and here we are now. And they are 18, and we're very thankful that...
And they're both employed too, aren't they? Michelle isn't, but...
Well, they really both have found, this is what I have found to be really inspiring. They both have found kind of their niche through the liberal arts. And it's not something you think of normally for special needs kids. You think more practical life skills. But Michael developed a love of history, especially St. Genevieve history. And we moved down here because my father-in-law had, whom you know, had one of the first homes in Lake Forest. So my husband spent every summer down here. So he feels like he grew up down here. So we moved, we loved coming down, and when we realized we couldn't school up there anyway, we moved down here when they were 4. So we've been down here ever since. And it's been a good place to raise the kids because it is so arts focused. So Michael's love of history, St. Genevieve history in particular, started when he was about 10. He would read the books by Carl Eckberg, the local scholar, and or the scholar on local history. then he started volunteering at the Bolduc House in St. Genevieve.
Wonderful.
He has a part-time job there now, and he gives tours. He has sort of like the Asperger's type of autism, where they really like little facts and just really zone in on one topic. So he would share those facts about St. Genevieve with his friends, and they weren't all that interested. But the tourists are.
Right.
So it's really a wonderful fit. Then Michelle has become a poet.
And she has a beautiful singing voice also.
Yes. And
She sing. Does she still sing with them?
She does. She sings with Patty
Patty's
Nager's
group,
group. That's what I mean. This has been a wonderful place to raise them. Since she was 10, she's been putting on the period costume and singing in German and French, practicing on Fridays, singing at the festivals, and that has been wonderful for her. She also volunteers at the nursing home. And one of the things about the liberal arts education is that it's intended to help people serve others. The other thing with special needs is usually they receive services, which they need. But life is more than that. It's taking whatever small gifts you have and serving other people. So that's what they have both started
And
doing.
when they know you, they always have a hug for you too. I know Michael came to KC Hall not too long ago and gave me a big hug.
That's his talent, yes. He's 6'1" and he gives good hugs.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Yeah. And now, tell a little bit of what inspired you to write the book.
Well, we have a story to tell. This was, Michelle especially, she began her life with a severe language disorder. She didn't know what language was for. Her words came out all jumbled. It was called a semantic pragmatic language disorder. We worked with Cardinal Glennon twice a week, and the language therapist sent work home with us. And this was intensive for an 18-month-old, 2-year-old. But through all of these years of literature and poetry and even Latin, that is the language that they have studied as a foreign language, she has developed such a facility with language that that really surpasses an average child now. So she came to me a couple years ago and she said, "Mom, I want my story to help other children like me." So that really was what gave birth to the book.
That's
And I
wonderful.
think that's so wonderful. Yeah. Michelle is such a sweet girl.
She is.
She's precious.
She really is. And you know, she's shunned by other kids because she's different. And so she has a lot of lonely times. And I'm so thankful that literature and poetry and the Christian faith have all become such a solace for her, and music too, especially.
And I think it's wonderful that she can learn. I couldn't learn German or French. No way.
Me either.
I tried French and it did not work. I could do it at the computer. When I left the computer, it was like, okay, I don't remember one of those words I learned.
Well, I think the way that Patty teaches them, they pronounce songs in French and German. They don't always know what they're singing, so.
Oh, okay.
But still.
But still, they can say
It
the
comes
words
out
right.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It does. It
yeah.
does. Patty does such a good job with them.
She does.
Is this
So-
like a textbook?
Well, what we tried to do is initially, the first few chapters are really the story, and we've
Okay.
woven in the strategies that we used in the story. But then the middle section is lesson plans and more, I guess, detailed strategies and resources. So it becomes a book, a guidebook or handbook for bringing classical education to any child,
Okay.
and how to individualize that. And then we have our favorite resources in there too. We have found lots of wonderful books, but it took a lot of time to do that. It's kind of the book that I wish I would have had when they were babies.
That's what it sounds like.
Myself.
And you took them on a lot of trips to St. Louis to all kind of cultural things too all the time. didn't
We
you?
did. It's nice living just an hour away. We spent a lot of time at the art museum and different, different places, and just fun places like the zoo. That was a great place to practice animal names.
Well, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure, anything like that. It's
Right.
great.
Have you been able to interact with other families who believe in this type or have used this type of education?
Oh, yes. I've been speaking at conferences the last few summers, and I've met many families who are just like we were, where they want the best education for their children, but their children they have special needs. So, yes, good question. Absolutely. There are many families like us. We just gave a voice to it. So, I know that other people have things to share. I do have a poem from Michelle,
Yes,
if I might
yes, please.
Be
read
happy
it.
to hear
read
it.
that. So just as some background, she volunteers at a local nursing home. And as you know, this is a strong Roman Catholic town. However, we are not Roman Catholic, so she had never prayed the rosary before. But that was what she was assigned to do, was to help the ladies with the rosary. Well, she found it lovely. She enjoyed the slow praying through the beads. And I found since that Anglicans and Lutherans and other Protestants make use of the rosary for their personal devotions. And I mention that because she does reference that in this poem. It is called Old Man. She just wrote this a few weeks ago. And notice there are two things. One is the contrast between the human condition and the divine becoming man for us. The other is her use of sacramental imagery throughout. Old Man. See yon man, bowed and bent, see him laid, yon crucifix. Pipes are played, a hymn is sung, now that hour is sundown. Wine in cup and blood on tree, hunger for the rosary. What Christ has done for you, for me, pains he shed, bread born for thee. The old man bowed under the law, born under cross and curse, but this man, who knew no sin, knew the pain, strikes, and marks sin would bring. Justice came and paid the cost. For those he came, he saved us all. He did what justice demanded, all paid for our release. This man's body, broken by sin, broken by judgment, we stand chagrined to bear upon ourselves, yet groaning to beg for God's tender mercy. The lash he suffered once for all, and to his Father obeyed his call. Judgment exchanged for peace. This old man lies stiff and cold, soon 'twill be, but dead and old. One day, though, it shall rise to the skies in God's banquet hall, everlasting life.
Oh, how
Wonderful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It almost makes you
Tell
cry.
Michelle.
Me too.
That is really good. Does bring tears. Okay, she's
So we have a book signing coming up in St. Genevieve, October 12th. It is a Saturday, 10:30 to 2:30. We'll have a book reading where I'll actually read from the book. That begins at 11. But Saturday, October 12th, 10:30 to 2:30, we invite everybody to come.
And where will it be, Cheryl?
It is, did I not say?
I didn't catch it, I was listening.
That's a very good question. It's at the local library.
Very
The
good.
library, yes, they offered to host it, which is very nice. And the library is housed inside the St. Genevieve Community Center on Highway 32.
right. Well, Cheryl, we sure appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you so much for
Wonderful.
inviting me.
You're such a
Especially-
wonderful mother and teacher and
Thank you.
person.
Thank you, Iris. So are you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you print that poem?
We are working on publishing a collection of her poetry. So
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
so I'm hoping by Christmas. So
That would be a great Christmas tree.
I'll remember you for Christmas if we get that done.
Yes.
Because she has
please.
several that are.
And Cheryl, where will your books be for sale after this book signing? Are you?
Another good question. I just, it's like I brought you along.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
You know,
Because
I'm really paying attention.
We should have been asking those questions, don't you?
Well, I jumped in, I think, when you
Hey,
were
that's,
trying to
hey,
speak.
that's fine. That's
So,
what we want
will
to
you
do.
have them out someplace?
They will, of course, be available at the book signing, but every day they're available at the Show Me Shop,
Okay.
which is also a lovely place to go just
Yeah.
for Missouri wine and gifts.
They'll be at the
Then
Show Me Shop.
They already
They are.
Oh,
at the
they
Show Me
are.
Shop.
Okay.
Mhm. So you can get them there. And then also CherylSwope.com is my own website. It's kind of hard to spell, so it's available on Amazon.
One more question. One more question.
Keep going, Juanita. You're an educator. You can think of all
Well,
this stuff.
I have people tell me I ask too many questions, but where are you, what is your next project? Do you have something else planned? Do you have a
Yes.
stepping, are
We
you stepping
do.
into something else?
We have so many families interested in this, and really, it involves so much tweaking, the way that it is now. We took Latin books, and then instead of
Wow.
1 week per lesson, we had week after week after week after week for that one lesson, because I had to really give so much more repetition, so much more practice. So what we're doing is, with Memoria Press, who is the wonderful publisher out of Louisville, we are creating curriculum packages for homeschoolers, but also schools. And we're starting with the 2s and 3s, 2 and 3-year-olds, because that's where we started. We had them memorizing the Apostles' Creed and the Lord's Prayer and learning about ducks and colors and all of those wonderful things. So Michelle and I are doing that together. We have all these little kid books at our house right now, little fuzzy puppy books, just all of these wonderful books. So we're doing that together, creating from notes, because I did keep all my notes. So that's the next project, from age 2 all the way through high school.
Well, being as I said, an educator, I did teach high school for 30 years. Not special ed, but I taught art. But I had a lot of special needs students in my class.
Sure.
Obviously. And it's just interesting as, to your approach and, what you hope to do with it within the public schools or maybe homeschool and so forth.
It's really a
It's a good
return to
tool, I
the
think.
tried and true. We've been experimenting with education for decades, and not too many people are thrilled with the results of it. So this is kind of just going back to not just knowledge, but wisdom, and then bringing that in with the Christian faith too. So,
There definitely is a difference between knowledge and wisdom.
exactly.
We had a discussion about that at a Bible study this last week.
Right. All right, well, thank you again.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl, and give the
And
kids a hug.
remember, she will
I will.
be on October the 12th at the library at the community center, and that'll be Saturday, October the 12th, from 10:30 to 2:30, and it will be a book signing, and you may also purchase a book from her.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
And thanks for the book show.
Oh, you're welcome.
and thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we have former president of the Art Guild, Juanita Rapp Wyman, as she goes by. And Juanita, I'll just let you start talking, and you're good at that, so let's go.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Good at talking. Well, I can talk about several things, and I brought examples of some of my work, but they're talking about 3 different things that are coming up in St. Genevieve, which I just kind of
Right.
happened to, I looked at them and thought, they're going to apply to everything. So where do I start? First off, I'm going to jump from what Cheryl said into her son was very interested in the local history. And I think that is what inspires me now to do what I do now that I'm retired from teaching. I taught high school art for 30 years. I grew up in St. Genevieve, from here originally, went to Valley, and moved back home 6 years ago, which has been a fantastic move. Now, as I say, I practice what I preach for 30 years. And not every
And she gets
teacher
better and better
practices
all the
what they
time.
preach. even as an educator, I always thought it was important for me to do artwork because I thought it gave more credibility to me as a teacher. For the students to see that I am struggling with what they're struggling with, that I actually can do some of these things that I'm telling them to do, or suggesting that they do. So since I've come back, I've joined the Art Guild, and gosh, I think I joined in '99, and of course ours and Mary Ann are there, and it's been a godsend for me for many reasons. And so I brought some examples. I'm going to be having a solo art show this fourth Friday, and I'm going to be down at the Galleria St. Genevieve. This is the second time Judy's asked me to come down there. I have had a solo show in Cape. That was back in March. And perhaps I will move forward. I keep saying that I ought to maybe try to move into bigger venues, maybe, but I said, that's work.
And we keep pushing her to do that
And
because she's so
it's
good.
it's on my bucket list. It really is. But when I prepare for these shows, and it takes, well, you should work every day. You should do your art every day. You should do just a little bit, and then it's not all that hard, and it just makes you better. But in preparing for these shows, it does take a lot of time. And for this show, I think I have about 35 pieces. And of those 35 pieces, I think probably maybe 12 are new, something that nobody has seen up to this point. Now, I said, I'm from St. Genevieve. I love the history of the town. I love the quaintness of the town. And now that I've moved back, I like it all even more. And now that's what I paint. I paint St. Genevieve, but I also paint my ancestral country, and that is Germany. I've had the opportunity to travel to Europe. I've met my distant relatives. I've stayed in the town of my ancestors. And so I'm able to paint that country. But I see Germany and some other countries in Europe so much like St. Genevieve. Well, let's face it. Here we have the German and the French heritage. And so traveling there, living here, there's such a correlation. And so what I enjoy painting, I call it urban landscapes. I paint the landscapes, city landscapes, rural landscapes of primarily Germany and St. Genevieve. And when you look at the work, you do see some resemblance. Maybe we're not as old as they are in Germany. Maybe this, but yet St. Genevieve is, as we know, is really quaint. And so I really enjoy it. Now, what I brought today happens to be some rural scenes because I now live in Zell. And I live with cows out my back door, which, and of course, that's part of my ancestry too, because my husband's family, they were farmers, my grandparents were farmers, so, it's kind of in my blood. It's just, you paint what you know, you paint what you love, and it makes painting easier. Now, what I'm working with now is primarily pastels. I have worked, being an art teacher, I always say I've worked with a little bit of everything, but not a whole lot of anything. But now that I'm practicing what I preach, I really like working with color, and I've worked with watercolor when I moved to St. Genevieve 6 years ago. Everybody in the guild was doing watercolor, so I went, oh, okay, better do watercolor. And I did that, but then I went into oils, and then I went back to my first love, which is pastel. So let me just show you which way ours.
That
this
way,
way.
fine. Sure.
Show a few examples. Like I said, I've got to show.
Well, Juanita, flip it around.
Should I go?
He's zooming in on
He's
something.
zooming in, okay.
Zooming in this way.
Like I said, this Friday, the fourth Friday Art Walk, I have, like I mentioned, 30 some odd pieces. Now, this happens to be a scene from Germany. If you've ever traveled there, it's Rothenburg on der Tauber. This is not my ancestral town, but I do have plenty of pictures from that particular town. I grabbed this one because I have done scenes from this particular town about 3 times now. I love the color, the tiles, the texture, the warmth. It's just there. You don't even have to look very far and it's there. So if you've had the good fortune to be able to, to travel to Europe, you know what I'm talking about.
And that reminds you of houses on Main Street.
I
and
was just gonna
back of
say
the
that
Valley
one.
House.
I was sitting here trying to decide if I'd seen that in town.
And the Valley House.
And that's- and thank you for
On Main
mentioning-
Street, there's one
Exactly.
similar to
And
that.
thank you for mentioning that, because again, that's what I try to show, excuse me, when I paint. It might be Germany, but it could be the Midwest, you know, and it could be, in fact, I have one, it's down at Judy's right now, and I really like it. It's the cottage in the Valley Gabor Garden. So you might be familiar with it.
Very good.
And so I've done that scene now twice, once in oil, and I now have one down at Judy's. It'll be on display Friday in pastels. And, you know, and the other thing I enjoy doing is working with light and shadows. And so I try to go at a time of day where I can really take advantage of the light as it's hitting the color, and it creates these beautiful hues of, you know, blues and pinks and so forth. But this one happens to be an oil, but it very well could be St. Genevieve, and it happens to be in Germany. I might also mention, this one was done in the studio, but some of my work that I'm going to have at the show Friday is going to be done, it was done in plein air, which is coming up also. So I can talk about the Fourth Friday Art Show. I can talk about plein air, because the plein air festival, which is running 5-6 days, is starting Friday here in St.
27th
Genevieve.
through the
And so it starts Friday, and in plein air is when people, it's a very, very old technique where you paint outdoors trying to capture the atmosphere, the light as it is reflecting on your subject matter. And you paint outdoors typically in all kinds of weather. So if your picture is a snow scene, that means you're painting in the snow. And if you're, you know, painting and it's gloomy or overcast, well, that's the way it is. And so I do have an example. This one was done a couple years ago, and this is a Zell scene. Some of you will recognize it. It's the fish hook store in Zell. This reminds me so much of where my parents are from in Illinois, a little town called Piopolis. And all it is a church, a general store, and a school. And that's what Zell is, you know? And so this was painted 2 years ago in plein air. I stood over here if you're familiar with the area, I stood over by the house or the barn, the Bowman place, and painted this, I think within a couple hours. It doesn't,
And that's what plein air is.
and that's
You
what
work
plein air
very
is.
quickly, yeah.
You have to capture, you should try to capture a moment within that 2-hour, 3-hour period, you see. And that, you know, you have to capture it, so you've got to look at the light and the shadows as you see it at a given moment. And I remember when I first started plein air, I kept changing my shadows, you know, as the light changed, my painting kept changing. And I went, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. It was hard. I don't know if you all found that or
Oh,
not.
yeah.
But, you started, 10 in the morning, and here you are at noon. Well, yeah, the light's changed a lot. And so, by the time I'd done this, I've done quite a bit of plein air painting in Augusta, Missouri. That's where I got started. I don't do as much anymore. I paint more in the studio now. It's just easier. I know, I don't know, after a while you get tired painting in the wind, in the cold. The first time I painted in the rain, first time I painted in Augusta, thank God I had gloves and a coat in my trunk. I didn't go prepared, but I happen to still have it there from the winter. Don't clean my car very much.
And it was rainy that year.
It was horrible, and so you have to do it. But in any case, now this one again is going to be on display. It's not for sale. This is one that I do keep some of my own work. For one, because it might be the subject matter. Because I paint also, you all can relate to this, I paint things that make me feel good. That's what I paint. And I surround myself in my home, because I like to collect art, with paintings that make me feel good. It could be photographs too. So the fish hook store, I don't live too far from there now. And this is plein air. And this is, you're going to be seeing people painting outdoors now within, Friday.
It starts at 27th.
Yeah, and Friday evening,
27th through October
if I'm not
6th.
mistaken, Friday evening, people will be painting in the evening. Now, that's a challenge, to paint when the sun is going down. And they're going to be around town, and since Friday evening, it's my understanding, there are going to be several galleries open again, but there's going to be music all around town now. There's music at the Bolduc House, I know, as well as someone demonstrating, and I'm at the Galleria St. Genevieve. And my brother has the sound system, so he's going to be there, playing music. And then you move on down to 109, which is the Art Guild's gallery, and there'll be somebody playing music there.
Banjo, isn't it?
A banjo, and then on the inside, we have a display of a lot of the homes from St. Genevieve. They were up for it was a history conference that was here, was it a week ago? Or something like
Last week, I
that.
think.
So throughout town Friday evening, you're going to see probably a little more than what you typically would see on a Fourth Friday.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are coming.
And it's,
From the
well, if
city
the
to come
weather's
down.
nice, it would be great if more local people would get out. I think they would be very pleasantly surprised. That's the thing, with being able to travel in Europe, I bring friends down here, and we'll walk down the middle of the street, Merchant Street or Market Street, and, you've got those beautiful lights shining, and yes, it's quiet and still. How many towns can you go to where you can just kind of meander around like that, walk into the square, if they didn't have the big city hall, that square it would look exactly like a square in Europe. With big, open, and, restaurants and so forth around. So it's just, I think it'll be a very nice evening. But in any case, plein air, it starts Friday night. And it will end the following Thursday.
I actually, from the 27th to the 1st is
So,
painting.
but in any case, this is a pastel. This is what I enjoy doing most now, is chalk pastel. And this was done in plein air, and I was on the spot. And this one was done in studio, but I have done this particular subject several times, mostly from studio, in pastel, etc. Now, the Art Guild sponsors, at the Christmas walk, we always have a raffle. And we select one of the artist's works to be used in publicity, and then we raffle that painting off. And so we had a meeting last night, and mine happened to be chosen.
So anybody that would like her painting,
So-
see an Art Guild member for chances.
We will be selling chances coming up very soon, and then the winner is drawn.
And that
the
was so
Christmas walk
beautiful
weekend.
because of all your shadows and.
And again, I have this thing about
Really?
light and shadow, and I guess a lot of this goes back to my schooling. I kind of take a classical approach to painting, and I go back really to, you can go back to Rembrandt, where they use lots of dark colors. And so I was kind of taught along that line, and I think that's why I continue to like to do that and look for a subject matter where I can work with strong lights and shadows. But this one, I worked the Zell picnic this last Sunday, and the theme this year of our Christmas walk, the Guild's art show, is memories. And so as I was walking back to my house after I had worked at the picnic, I saw these men standing there by the chapter, and it just reminded me of the old church picnics over the years. And there were good memories. I can remember, my parents always taking us to the church picnics. And my father, who used to sell international, so again, here we go. I think that's the reason I like looking at the tractors and so forth. It's something that's back in my history. And so that's what I like. But this was done in the studio and taken from a photograph. So, and this is pastel also. So that's pretty much, like I said, we've got Friday, the fourth Friday, and I'm down at Galleria St. Genevieve, and then the Art Guild is at 109 Main Street. Then we have plein air coming up, which starts Friday. And then the Art Guild will be participating in the holiday Christmas weekend. And we have a show at this year it's going to be at 109. It's a new gallery down on Main Street. So we will be having all of the Guild, probably maybe about 16 people will be showing their work at that particular time.
Is the date set for that?
It's the first weekend in December.
The first full weekend.
So that's, what is it, 4th, 5th, 6th, or something like that. It's the first full weekend. And if you've never been to that, it's great when it
There's a parade
snows.
and all kinds of things.
And the parade is getting so much bigger, and it's now become more probably of a Christmas music festival. Now, we still have the arts, but I know Ann Roth has done a considerable amount of work in trying to bring a lot of musicians into St. Genevieve, and she's done a great job. She has musicians that's, for Saturday and Sunday, I don't know how many different places.
Almost
All over
everywhere.
town, you can find some kind of music that you
And then
will
they have
like.
the bell and
And the bell- they-
choral up at church.
And
which is
and there was a
really
time when we first started with the Christmas walk, remember ours and Mary Ann? The Art Guild was, other than the Linden House was open, I used to love to come down and go in the Linden House. It was only open on the Christmas weekend, and then the Art Guild had their show. And then the Catholic Church had the bell choir and the band, which was fantastic.
We didn't have a whole lot of things.
No, that was
back
it.
when we started.
But that was okay. I mean, it was just, and then, and we all, and of course, a lot of petite singers, and it was just a really nice Christmas atmosphere. And if it snowed, it just made it better. So we'll see what happens this year. I don't know, but lots of things going on. If we can just get everybody out to check it out.
And the 4th, 5th, and 6th of October, the art from the plein air will be on display at 109 Main for those 3 days. So everybody should stop in to see that. And see all the works that everybody did outside.
Yes, and there will be people, we hope, or in the past, have been people here from out of town. Some of the St. Louis people come down, people come up from Cape. We've had some very notable artists come in.
Farmington, over from Illinois.
Farmington,
There's quite a few of them.
I know in Augusta, because it's been going on for many years, but they'll get people from Colorado,
Yeah, there's like 100 and something.
Kansas.
people up
Yeah,
there.
now that one is really, really big, and it brings in a lot of notable people. But we've brought in some of those.
Right.
And we are, yes, and we're trying to
We've
build.
captured some of their people.
We have, and there's some nice awards, as artists, you spend a lot of money.
A lot of time.
And you have a lot of
You
fun.
spend a lot of money to support your habit. No, there are, and we do have some professional artists. Now, when I say professional, I'm talking really professional in that they make their living by doing this. That's work. Not that it's bad work, but it's work, And so, you have that, and we do have those in St. John. And then we have some of us who we're schooled in the arts.
But Juanita could be a professional.
I don't, well,
If she would push herself.
and I sell enough
She'd work
to pay
harder.
for some of my supplies. You do what you enjoy, but I probably need to sell a few.
I keep telling her she needs to get her work out to like New York and Chicago and all those places.
But right now it's,
Colorado,
well, thank you.
Arizona. It is. It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
It's
And
enjoyable.
I love the cottages when she paints those. The roof tiles look like you can
Yeah, I
pick them
didn't bring
off.
any of those with me because they're
Yeah,
down
but they
at
look like you
Judy's.
can pick the tiles off. They're just, it's just beautiful.
In Germany, of course, they have all the clay tile
Yes.
roofs. And then, the stucco buildings with the timber, depending upon where you are. But still lots of color, just it depends, depending upon where you travel. And of course, the flowers, oh my gosh. I mean, this is in Rothenburg, which is it's a walled city. That's more of a tourist town. But that's not uncommon. There are some areas where the flowers are just spectacular. And I really like to paint those. I was able to go into the Netherlands, into Holland last year, and happened to be there right as the tulips were blooming. Oh my gosh. And every turn was a picture, so I painted some of those scenes. I take 99% of my work is from my own photographs, pretty much so. So,
Well, thank you very much for being
well,
here,
thank you for
Juanita.
having me.
Well, we're glad you came. Always good to promote the arts and yourself because you're such a good
Well,
artist.
thank you, and when I promote myself, I'm promoting the Art Guild, because we have, I think, about 49 members now in the Art Guild. Most are from St. Genevieve, but not all. We have people from St. Louis, Farmington, Imperial, DeSoto, Hillsborough, Illinois. More and more, and of course, with the art colony being here in the 1930s, I think that established St. Genevieve as being a very unique and quaint place to paint. And so we try to continue that. And I think we've done a fairly good job at doing that. And we've got enough galleries in town now where they're wanting to support us as well. So, in any case,
Okay.
okay.
So
Thank
now
you.
our next guests are from Wholesome, and they have a recycle program that's going to take place. So whichever one of you want to start, have at it.
So basically, the reason we've come tonight, we wanted to talk about the household hazardous waste and electronics waste recycling day that we're sponsoring on October 5th down at the St. Louis Recycling Center. It's a program that this will be the 4th year for it. It's a program that was kind of almost like a grassroots movement from some of our employees. They came to us and said, hey, this is a need in the community that isn't being fulfilled, and we think it'd be great if we could do something through the company to help the town, handle these materials in a safe and proper way, get them out of our community, make the nice quaint town like Juanita has been talking about a safer place for all of us to stay. And we're fortunate we're on some advocates with the recycling center. They've been gracious enough to help us out with some space to form this event. And this will be our 4th year hosting the event down at the recycling center.
I think it really, sorry to interrupt, but really builds on the partnership that we have with the recycling center, and also builds on Wholesome's commitment to our community. I mean, we made a huge investment. That's no secret, right? We're going to be here for the long haul, so we want to be seen out in the community, helping with projects, helping with needs like this, and not just always the checkbook, but out in the community. So it's our staff, teams with Linda's staff, and we do a lot of the traffic directing and that sort of thing. Not necessarily the heavy lifting. We contract a company to do that, but partner with the recycling center to help bring that to the community.
And it's great.
These are electronic that you're doing, I mean, like televisions and...
So anybody who's been to the event would know this kind of setup well. You come into the event, you come around actually we reverse the traffic flow at the recycling center, so if anybody's used to coming, the main gate turns into the exit, and you come in, come in to the other side there by that old billboard. When you get to the main parking lot there, we split it off, and there's actually household hazardous waste on one side and electronics waste on the other.
Oh, okay.
So things like old paint thinner, used oil, motor oil, old cleaning products. We always wind up with something kind of interesting. I think last year we had
There was a list that amazed me when I saw that in the paper. I couldn't get over the list of the stuff that you have that you can bring. It's amazing.
So
I never saw so many items.
What is it, anything with a plug? My brother did this last year.
Yes.
And we're getting ready to do it this year. My mother passed away actually a year ago today, and so we're cleaning her house.
Yeah.
And my brother Don says, okay, we need your truck, he said. And so, he said anything with a
Any old
plug.
electronics with a plug.
Right?
Yep.
And like you said, paints and chemicals and so forth. So,
Cleaning chemicals,
Yeah.
pesticides, herbicides, your old,
yeah.
It's
paint
almost
thinners.
easier to make a list of things that we can't accept.
Well, you don't have to bring computers? You don't?
No, you can bring the computers.
bring the computer.
The few things that we aren't able to accept, things like fire extinguishers and propane tanks because they have a charge.
Uh-huh.
You can't accept them.
We can't
Cannot,
accept
yeah.
those.
Refrigerators, stoves, everything like
Yep.
that, right?
We can take refrigerators and stoves.
Yeah.
Anything
Microwave?
that would
Microwaves, yes.
that would be with a radiological source and things. A lot of people don't realize that smoke detectors and then PCB wastes, and we don't accept tires. That's really
right.
the
No
short.
tires.
Explosives and ammunition.
Explosive ammunition.
That would be
It's a
awful,
short
wouldn't
list
it?
of things that we can't take.
All of a sudden, pow, pow, pow.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a little.
Can I
and
ask you
fireworks,
one
yeah.
question? Like, I do oil, so when I buy frames, they have glass on them a lot of times.
Mhm.
So I can't get rid of the glass because the recycling center doesn't accept that glass.
Is it leaded glass or is it the green?
It's glass that you use in your picture frames, that you go to the store and you buy your frames and everything. It's glass that's in your frames.
Like window glass.
That's a good question. I've not been asked that one before, so I guess I.
So I was
I'll
just
have to
wondering,
talk to
because I
Pat.
have
Well,
no idea
Linda
what to do with it.
should
We
know
don't
that.
take the flat glass,
No.
no, container
Why-
glass.
what does it do?
Because it breaks down different, is what I understand. The other can be melted down or crushed down and used again.
And that other
And
can't,
you can't.
window glass
So
cannot.
really, what do
Okay.
you do with that?
That's a good question. Don't
I
we?
have a stack about this high.
I will.
I have a lot of windows at home too that have.
I'll ask that question of our
Yeah.
electronics folks. They might be able to accommodate taking that. this
Something,
year.
someplace to,
Sure.
because I have no idea what to do with it.
I'm regularly surprised by the things that they're able to recycle through Midwest Recycling, who does the electronics waste.
Because I go and buy frames everywhere, and I go to
Yep.
yard sales, and I buy beautiful frames that people are getting rid of, antiques, and a lot of times there's glasses in them. And I don't use the glass, because I don't water bait.
Oh, I see, okay.
Andy, you don't take that at your recycling day?
I'll have to check if they're capable of taking that.
Yeah, but that's why we
like
don't
I said,
take it on a regular basis.
I'm not sure if they can take. I can certainly ask them the question, and I'll get back with you.
Does glass melt at a really high temperature? Is that what the
I think
difference is?
so, yeah. And then
I noticed you're taking fluorescent bulbs
fluorescent bulbs and the
Fluorescent
curlicue
bulbs.
on
bulbs.
that. That's what surprised me.
Now, is
when I
it
saw that.
mercury in those?
Yes.
Isn't there mercury in
That's
those?
Yes.
a small amount, yes.
It's just a drop, but certainly mercury's a.
But if you get 1,000 bulbs, that's
Yeah,
1,000 drops of
exactly.
mercury.
So we take any length, and then also the compact fluorescent ones that have started being used to replace
okay.
the old incandescent bulbs in your lamps at the house and that kind of thing. We take those also.
And so the really great thing about this too is that we are recycling these materials or using them for, we aren't, but the company that we contract with, they either recycle them or recycle whatever they can, or they use them for energy recovery. So
Oh,
they get
really?
used,
Oh.
yes.
A lot of it
Yes.
used to make road, isn't it, road material? A lot of your recycling things go into making
It can be.
material to pave roads with.
It can be.
It can. Mhm.
Because I read that someplace, that they use, what is it, glass or a few other things
Yeah.
that they use for pavement.
And some of the
Some of the glass can go
byproducts,
color,
so a
yeah.
lot of the used motor oil that gets brought in will be reconditioned. A lot of times whenever you get a quart of motor oil that comes out of the engine after you've used it, it's not
Still has life
garbage,
in
it
it,
still has a
yeah.
lot of life in it, and as much as 50% of that oil can be recaptured and reused in an engine again. They're able
Oh,
to
really?
re-refine it. But I think what you may be thinking of is a lot of the materials that they take out, the ashes and different things after it's been sent through a combustion engine is able to be taken back, and then they reuse that in asphalts. 'Cause
Sludgy part.
yeah.
Is that what they do when they recycle? Use really high heat to melt and to get rid of it?
If I understand the process correctly, I think they actually put it back in the refinery and just re-refine it.
Oh.
Oh,
So a lot of the oils, but like you can go to any of your auto parts stores now, and it's becoming pretty commonplace. They came out with it, I guess, a year, 18 months ago, where they really started pushing the product. But it'll be you have your quart of oil, your new quart of oil, and then they'll have the next gen or the recovered oil, which is it uses in a green bottle, but it'll have as much as 50% content recycled oil in it.
Oh, my.
And it's just as good as stuff off the shelf. It's got the same ANSI certifications as the other stuff.
well, I was really surprised when I saw that list of all the different things that you're taking. I thought, oh my gosh, because I got a lot of old paint too.
Well, it's a big day if anybody's ever been there. This is the 4th year, and it just increases each year,
Right, last year we serviced what, how many, 300
So let's see, I got my cheat sheet here, I'm gonna tell you, so I don't tell you the wrong numbers here, but.
I know
let's see.
there's a long line because I gave up.
But it's
Just put
not
mine back in
really
the
that
basement.
long.
Well,
It moves pretty quickly, especially we've
Yes, it
kind of
does.
gotten it down, we've gotten the process
The-
down, and it moves pretty quickly, so.
Yeah, the first year was a little bit of a shocker, I think, for everybody concerned.
What do we have, 365
We had
cards?
315 cars the first year. I think everybody was shocked the second year. We had 218. And then last year, it was 365 cars. So we actually had a bigger year last year than we did the first year. And if you were there last year, you would know that there wasn't near the line. I think the longest, well, we had cars backed up onto the shoulder one time, I think maybe for less than 5 minutes.
Oh,
So,
my word.
we're, not only are we getting, I guess, better at that, the folks that we're working with, they're getting more accustomed to seeing what they, what they expect, and they know what to what to spend the time sorting out, and what we can work on after the gates
That's
have been
great.
closed, that kind of thing.
I think it's wonderful.
So you have sorters there as people are bringing their things in and they put
So
it in the proper place?
The hazardous materials are handled by a private third-party contractor that specializes in that type of materials. They hold the transportation licenses and whatnot to transport it over the road.
Okay. Now, would that be like asphalt shingles and that kind of stuff too?
I'd have to check on that.
No,
that's
they
not-
don't do
I don't
that.
think so.
No,
No.
no.
That's a different type of
It's really more like the
hazardous waste,
chemicals
huh?
and
Yeah.
the, yeah.
It's a
the
liquid.
chemical side.
Okay,
Right,
liquid. chemical.
liquids are, in a pretty safe bet. And certainly, if you have any questions, you can
Call Linda.
call Linda. No, and I realized the tactical errors when I came in here. I forgot to bring our flyer that we've been using to pass out and around town to advertise the event. But on that, if you can get up to if you have questions and you'd like to contact us to clarify before you come down that day, the flyers are available down at the recycling center, normal business hours, 8 to 5, correct?
8 to 5 every day and 8 to noon on Saturdays.
And then also I set some up at the community center. They've been gracious enough to let us put some on the counter there.
And it's in the Herald paper.
It'll be in the paper, I think it was in today, and it'll
Yes.
be
Mhm.
running
It
is.
every Wednesday between now and the event.
Mm-hmm.
There's a website, I'm sorry, not a website, an email address that you can contact us on, or a phone number that will take you to a voicemail box. Just leave a message and we'll get back with you as promptly as we possibly can to help clarify any questions. And a lot of times, like I said, we get some questions that maybe we can't answer right away, but we're able to contact one of our folks that we're working with on the event to clarify if that's something that can be or can't be brought.
That's wonderful.
And it is,
To do
it's,
that for the community because, things really load up in your basement, in your
yes,
garage,
yes, they do.
and everywhere else.
Right, because you don't know what to do with them.
Okay, now get rid of this
Right,
stuff.
right.
Well, where do I take it?
It's October the 5th. I don't think we said the date.
Yes, he
That's
did
right.
say that, but.
October the 5th, and it's
It
from
doesn't
8
hurt to
to
read.
noon.
8 to noon at the
And you
recycling.
cannot bring your things down there before that date. You have to come that day.
That day.
Pat gets calls all the time. Can I bring it down there? I'm going to be gone. No, I'm sorry. We don't have the room.
No,
Bring it
and
that
Only
day.
8 to 5 on the.
And it really
There's
goes.
storage
8 to
requirements and
noon,
that sort of thing
Yeah.
that they have to, it has to be stored and
Yeah,
packaged properly,
these people know
so
how to do it.
that's not what they do, so.
And those are things that are required by the state and the federal government, that these materials be packaged and containerized and kept out of the weather, so that they don't leak out and impact the environment, so.
And pretty much when you bring your stuff down there, you don't have to lift a finger after
No.
you
Yeah,
get
in
it in
fact-
your vehicle, it's unloaded for you. You know,
Those
you
guys
hold the
are so
line.
nice down there. I have brought stuff down there, and I had a whole box. It was just magazines. And that fellow lifted it out of the trunk for me. He said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Well, yes." But they are always nice, and it's a wonderful place because I recycle there all week. I have my little bags I put everything in, and I go once a week.
But this day, these are professional people.
Right.
You
So
come
I can
around,
take that
you
stuff
go
out.
in the first driveway, you go around the building. When you get around, hazardous waste is to the left.
It'll take you left or right, depending on,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
there'll be somebody there helping you kind of decide which direction to go. If you have both, don't get concerned.
Yeah.
The person that's standing there, he'll kind of look in the back of your truck and decide, okay, well, you
That
got,
goes here and that goes
if you
there.
got a can of paint and a television, so he's probably going to send you to the electronics because it's easier to carry the can of paint than a TV. But those guys are pretty good about figuring out the best way to sort you out. And then
It's
really,
wonderful.
we ask that you don't get out of your vehicle because it is, we try to keep a steady flow of vehicles moving through because we don't want to have a
That's
backup
great.
on 61 kind of, any kind of a traffic problem. So we would ask that anybody coming, just, you're along for the ride. So please stay in your vehicle. We're going to unload everything for you.
Now,
It's great when folks try to jump up and help, but we actually, just
Sit down.
for their safety, that's right. Well, for their safety, we would ask that they stay in the
Sure.
vehicle. That way, because there
That's
are cars moving
understandable.
around quite a bit.
And one other point that I think that we need to make is, it is intended for household chemicals, so it's not small businesses. Unfortunately, that's not the way that the rules are written. It's for
Yeah.
households only, so.
Right.
Now,
to
what
try to-
about, like, the tar stuff, tar they used to put on the roofs and,
Yeah, we
Tar.
can take
Tar?
that.
Yeah, that,
okay, because I know
you
there's
could
some
bring.
cans that were there
Yeah.
when we moved in our house that
I know.
are still there
Get rid
because
of
we
a bunch
didn't know
of
what to do with
Right,
them.
they think they're doing you a favor, right, by leaving you all that stuff. And
Yeah,
then
it's like, okay,
what am I gonna do
this?
with it? Yeah.
It's not a favor.
So it sits there till you
Right.
figure out. So this is really a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good
'Cause
opportunity
I
to get all that
imagine a
stuff out
lot
of
of
your basement.
households
Yeah.
are in the same situation we're
Yeah.
in. I know they left this lead paint and all kinds of.
Yeah, I had,
Well,
I
Dave-
think I had a can of
I
automotive.
think
paint in
Dave
the
brought
basement
that
when I bought
down
my house,
last
so-
year. I think he did bring, I think he
I
brought
have a
that.
lot of the aerosol paint too.
Yeah, and you can bring those
Bring those down.
down, get them out of your house.
Oh, the aerosol
Yeah,
containers
aerosol
you
cans.
take them.
Absolutely.
That's what I saw in there. I was just amazed at the list of stuff I saw. I was really amazed
That's
at
your
it.
time to get it.
Old pool
clean
chemicals
up.
are a good opportunity, that's a good place to get rid of those, because a lot of those are gonna be,
Oh, I'm going to be boxing up
corrosive.
stuff. Because I have no idea where to get rid of some of this.
Now, Wholesome has been a good partner with our community for a long time.
Yes,
A lot
they
of you
have.
don't know. We started recycling, the recycle center. Actually, we started out collecting newspapers in
I was
Hart's
just going
trailer.
to ask you that. to
In
explain
1997, we started, and I, being in office, I had a lot of people ask why we don't recycle. So that's really how it started, and I had a lot of help along the way. And since May of 1997, when we opened, of course, we were a lot smaller, we have recycled over 8,500 tons. That's 17 million pounds of recycled material.
Wow.
And we started first in an old warehouse, and we thought, oh, well, this is going to just, well, we got so much room. Well, when long we were out of room, so I went to a meeting, and some of the Wholesome representatives were there, and they asked if there was anything they could do for St. Genevieve County. And not being bashful, I said, well, there's a wonderful old factory building would be wonderful for a recycle center, and I've been trying to get grants, and I just can't get it. Well, he swallowed kind of hard. That was in April, and we moved in December of 2000, down where we're at now. And they rented it to us for $1 a year for, I think, a few years, and then they've donated it to the county to be used as a recycle center.
Well, that's
And-
wonderful.
And you're almost outgrowing that, aren't you?
Well, we don't have anywhere to go. We're
Exactly.
landlocked.
Yeah.
But all the equipment, that we have forklifts and all our,
Crushers.
glass crushers, our balers, the addition we put on, the asphalt is all by grants from the Solid Waste District. We had to have matching funds, but the city of St. Genevieve contributes and the county contributes, and we've got a lot of support there. And I think I had a $50,000 budget last year. I have to do a budget through the county. It's all county owned. And we took in right at a little over 50,000. But that's recycled products that we've shipped. But it still doesn't pay the bills, so the city kicks in, and we have some donations from different companies in St. Genevieve besides Wholesome, but we wouldn't be where we are without your support, and we appreciate it.
Yay for
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So,
So recycling is a very interesting subject when you
Yes,
get
it
right
is.
down to
Right
it.
down here.
yes, it is.
Yes.
And an important one too, right?
And we
wanna
have a
keep that
good,
stuff out.
Pat Knoll is the manager there, and we have 10 other employees. And they're all usually retired people, and they work part-time, and they like that because they got free time and they got extra money. And
And they're very nice.
Yes,
Very-
we have
they're
nice
all
people.
accommodating down there, really are.
we have a couple of people that are hired through Experience Works. It's a Experience to
Work.
Work program.
Yeah.
And then we have, there's some community service that are court-ordered to help down there, and they're all good too. So we got a lot of help along the way. It's a community.
And
It's a good
how many
community,
years have
yeah.
you, since 1997, you've
Yeah,
been doing this?
15 years, yeah. And we do
Wow.
have pickups, and we do go around the city of St. Genevieve, the school, the hospital, the jail. We pick up within the city limits. And we get calls all the time, well, why can't you come and pick ours up in the county? We don't have the manpower or the materials or anything to go out of town. That would be never ending.
Right.
So anyway, it's a good project, and
Yeah.
I'm just chairman of the board. I don't know the day-to-day operations, but
But it is.
I try.
You just the boss lady, huh?
I'm not even the boss lady.
So Pat knows more than you know.
Yes, she does. She's supposed to be here tonight, but she couldn't.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
We're glad you all came.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks, appreciate you.
Very
Thanks for having us.
interesting, yeah.
And it's wonderful that you've got this project going. And like I said, the list is unbelievable. I couldn't believe that when I saw it in the paper.
Oh, it's
The
well
list
received.
of all the things that
They do.
you accept.
Yeah, we've got nothing but compliments from the community. We just really thank everybody for coming down and supporting our event and helping us.
Well, your name is on a lot of things, our Holson name is on a lot of
Yes,
good
it is.
things for the
Oh,
community.
yeah, they're a good partner. Yes.
Great.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you
And
very
then
much.
we're also have a new company in town, the Lucent Windows, which
Yeah.
we hope they can come on and talk about theirs, which we had them set up, but then miscommunication screwed that one up. So
happens.
hopefully we can get them back on here. So,
But we thank
okay,
you.
so if you got anything else to say, or you pretty well?
We just look forward to seeing
set up?
everyone on the 5th at the recycling center with all of your household chemicals.
Hallelujah.
October the 5th from 8 to noon.
8 to noon, that's right.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
You have a wonderful week.
You too.
Mary Ann, what all we got going on? Well, I'll say this first.
Oh, yes, we got that going.
The hospital is sponsoring Dr. Mark Spurrier. He is the eye doctor here in town, and they're going to have a piano recital. And it's Carl Kostner, is that? And Ralph, these names, okay, I'm not good with them. Ponchillo or something like that, Nathan Coleman and Matthew Starsfield. And it's October the 13th at 2 o'clock at St. John, the high school, the
Performing Arts Center.
Performing Arts Center.
And let me
So-
tell you, I've heard Dr. Spear perform.
Have you?
He
Okay.
is very, that's very incredible.
Yes.
I was just really blown away. He's extremely good.
The tickets
He's a
are
good
really
surgeon, so I
selling
guess
well.
that goes with being a good, yes.
So the tickets are $15, and if you want to be a patron, you can have preferred seating and a reception after the concert. And you can buy the tickets from St. Genevieve Hospital. Is there
Gift
anywhere
shop.
else, Linda?
The gift shop.
The
our
gift
gift
shop
shop.
is where it's at, okay.
Or you can go to stgenhospital.org and buy them online. So that's one thing that would really be great to attend.
Yes, it is.
And that building is
And we'll mention that in our
tremendous.
next show, too.
That Performing Arts is
Oh,
beautiful.
that
Yes,
is
it
wonderful.
is.
You have so much leg room in that place, you would not believe it. Most of the time when people pass in front of you, you got
Yeah,
scrunch
right,
back.
right.
Well, this place, you just keep
You can
sitting
sit
and
down.
they got plenty of room to walk right in front
And
of you.
there's not a bad seat in the whole
No, there
building.
No,
isn't.
and
Yes, and the
it's like
seats are
this and goes down.
plush, like
And the
you're at
acoustics are
home.
wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, it's really,
It's a great addition to our community, too.
it sure was.
It is great.
And the kids, they do such a wonderful job with their plays they have up
Yeah.
there. I've gone to like 3 or 4 of them, and they're just, they learn their lines, and you think, oh my gosh. And in short time, like they'll do
It's
a
amazing.
couple weeks
Yeah, they only have a couple of weeks, right?
practice,
Usually to
yeah, and then
practice,
there they
and-
go. Yeah, they're really good, and they're funny too. And then we have two talented artists up there, John Otto and Melissa, that,
Very good.
yeah, John
They're
does the scenery.
exceptional.
Yeah, he's great. So what else we got going this week, Mary?
We've got Project Graduation going, and that's for the Valley. That is a combination of the Valley and St. John School, and that's going to be at the Night of Columbus, and that's this Saturday. And they will have, they've got Road to Home, which is some musicians, and they will play from 7 to 11 p.m. They also have a poker run, an auction, horseshoes, and other activities. They have barbecue pork steak dinners that will start selling at 11. There's no charge to go. So it's going to be a pretty good day, and it's going to be for the project graduation, which the two schools go together, and instead of having all these wild parties, they go together and they go one place, and they have the entertainment, they have swimming,
Prizes.
they have volleyball, they have everything, basketball.
And they're locked in where they can't leave till the next
Right.
morning.
And they usually have donuts and everything in the morning, they have a meal, it's wonderful, it's great. I've had all my kids has been to them. Because I have 4 kids and they're all project graduation. And it's a blessing. You don't have to worry about being out on the street. Because you got some crazy kids get out there, sometimes.
It's
They're
nice
having a
too
good
that they do
time.
the 2 schools together too and
Right.
bring
Yes,
them together.
it
That's
is.
nice.
It's good.
Yeah, they did it for several years and then they quit for a couple years and now they're back together again, which is great.
And it makes it a lot nicer. It's good. That's the only thing I have.
Okay, so we got Cheryl with her book out at the library on October the 12th, from 10:30 to 2:30, and she's going to do a book signing and talk a little bit about her book and read a little bit about it. Recycle,
October the 5th.
October the 5th, from 8 till noon. The Art Walk this Friday evening from, is it 6 or 5 it
6 to
starts?
9.
Pardon?
Excuse me, 6 to 9.
6 to 9. But I think the people are going to start painting at 3 or 5?
They
5
paint till-
to 8.
That's
5 to 8. There'll be people out on the street painting from 5 to 8. Then they'll be taken to 109 and judged, and then that'll be the first project. And then every day during the week, they have a different place to go. The Saturday will be the gardens, and they have a specific list of gardens, so the artists will be painting in these gardens. Then they'll bring their work back, and they'll be judged, and they'll get a prize. And on Sunday, they have the wineries. I think there's 5 wineries participating. The artists will go there and paint, and then bring their art back in by 3 o'clock, and they'll be judged. And then the other 2 days are just free days to paint for whatever you want to paint. And then on Thursday evening, there'll be a reception and awards at 109 Main Street. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they'll be on display for the community to come see them. But you're welcome to come
Purchase.
on the 3rd. Pardon?
And the purchase.
And to purchase, of course. They'll be for sale, all of them will. So come on, you guys, buy them all, yeah.
So we have a lot of things going on. We thank Juanita for being here. We thank Holsom and Linda for being here. We enjoyed it. And anytime you've got anything you'd like to bring up, please come and let us put it on.
Okay. And we're hoping to have Paul Cameron on next week. He's, our next show, rather. He's, paints a lot of Army things. He was in Vietnam War and Civil War, and he's going to speak on Vietnam, him and another guy at a school in, is it Kansas City, I believe he said. And if the 9th works out, he'll be all right then. And on the 23rd, for sure, we have Diane Wilson coming on with her art. She does 3D art out of photography, and it's really beautiful and very creative.
And if we get
It's
together
different.
with the new owner of the built this, Lucent, is that the way you pronounce that? Lucent, yeah.
So we always
Windows.
try to have exciting guests on for you, and I think tonight we had 3 really good,
Very good, very
very
interesting.
good information for the community.
all.
So there's something for everybody to do this week and for the next weekend, so everybody come on out and enjoy our town.
Hi, thank you for watching Channel 798.
Thank you for watching Channel 7 and 98.
Hi, thank you very much for watching Channel 798.